Hello everyone, I'm Wan Shan. I'm sure most of you have heard that. Through palmistry, one can unlock the secrets of a person's character and destiny. Today, I'll be exploring the lines on your palms with you, to see what the future truly holds for each of you. Traditional Chinese metaphysics spans 5 core disciplines, encompassing the cosmic trio of fate, physiognomy, and divination. Within this realm, the art of reading physical traits is deeply nuanced. The ones we encounter most frequently are palmistry, facial reading, and feng shui. From the perspective of palm reading, there are over 300 intricate lines etched across your hands, each intimately tied to your fortune and personality. What's more, in this vast world, no 2 palm prints are ever identical. Even identical twins possess completely unique palm lines, which means their destinies will naturally diverge a little. In criminal investigation, forensics relies on this exact uniqueness of fingerprints to flawlessly distinguish among billions of individuals. Palmistry originated in India over 4,000 years ago, carrying with it over 4 millennia of accumulated wisdom to map out the trajectory of your life. Back when I was studying the art of palmistry, my master taught me some ancient mnemonic formulas. Understand the flowing currents of wealth, read the framework of the physical form, seek the cosmic balance within the palm, and trace the emotional journey of a lifetime. Of course, some might skeptically believe that predicting one's life through palm lines lacks any real substance. Yet, it isn't entirely without merit. Think of it as a grand synthesis of thousands of years of statistics and observation. What kind of palm patterns tend to align with specific personality traits, or signal certain twists of fate? These conclusions have been continuously tested and verified over generations. So, before we dive into the true mysteries of the palm, it's best to grasp the foundation first. My hope is that this journey will inspire you to re-examine your own life and your own destiny. Who knows, you might just discover some hidden opportunities along the way. Furthermore, today, I will be introducing you to some exceptionally rare palm signs. These are the markings of immense wealth and noble fortunes. You can compare them with your own hands. Even if you have just one, you are practically set for success. Let's see if fortune has favored you. This video packs a lot of insight and might run a bit long, so be sure to follow and save it so you don't lose track of it later. Now, let's open up our hands and read our palms. Which hand you should look at actually involves a bit of sophisticated rule. The old saying left for men, right for women is actually a misconception. As for why this left for men, right for women belief spread so widely, it stems from ancient times, when certain dynasties regarded the left side as the position of ultimate honor, just as men held the dominant social status. Hence, the saying was born. However, authentic palmistry doesn't strictly divide by gender. Both hands must be read in tandem. The primary hand to analyze is actually the opposite of your dominant hand. In other words, if you are right-handed, your left hand mirrors your innate, inherited destiny. The lines displayed here represent the blueprint you were born with, carrying the accumulated blessings from past virtues. Meanwhile, the palm of your dominant hand reveals your acquired, self-made destiny. To put it simply, your left hand represents the fortune that comes to you effortlessly, without striving. Your right hand, however, demands dedication and hard work to be fully realized. While we focus heavily on the innate blueprint, your acquired path will inevitably reshape your inherent nature. Yet, this acquired influence acts more as an intensifier or a dampener of your traits. If your innate left-hand lifeline appears faint, but your acquired right-hand lifeline is strong and defined, it indicates that you enjoy a nurturing environment, and your vital energy has been significantly revitalized over time. Only when you bring both hands together does the complete picture of your destiny truly unfold. Therefore, both hands are vital pieces of the puzzle. Next, let's look at the palm and its 3 most critical lines, namely, the lifeline, the wisdom line, and the heart line. Corresponding to the cosmic trio, they are known as the earth line, the human line, and the heaven line. They reflect the 3 cornerstones of human existence: vitality, intellect, and emotion. Of course, some people may have 4 or even 5 highly prominent lines etched into their palms. In upcoming videos, we will unravel those mysteries one by one. First, let's explore the lifeline, also known as the earth line. Many people hold a common misconception about it, believing that the longer the lifeline, the longer the lifespan. That is simply not true. Its length, in fact, has no direct bearing on your actual lifespan. Instead, it reflects the sheer vitality and resilience of your life force. In reality, many people possess a relatively short lifeline, where the lifeline abruptly stops. Merely marks the specific age when their body will suddenly feel fatigued and drained. A sudden, stark realization that their physical state isn't what it used to be. We often hear people in daily life remarking, "My memory has really gone downhill these past few years," or "My body just doesn't hold up like it did before." This is precisely because their lifeline, or perhaps their headline, has reached its natural end. So remember, its length has absolutely nothing to do with longevity. Beyond length, what truly matters is the shape of the lifeline. To be precise, it's all about the parabolic curve of the line. Ideally, you don't want the lifeline to drop down sharply. A sudden, steep drop signals that your capacity to withstand health risks is rapidly weakening. If you imagine drawing a line between your index and middle fingers, dropping straight down vertically, and your lifeline fails to curve past this boundary, it indicates a swift decline in your body's risk resistance. An unexpected illness could strike, causing your bodily functions to break down quite rapidly, making it much harder to bounce back from sickness. Therefore, the gentler and broader the lifeline's curve, the better. The further out that parabola sweeps, the more robust you are. When facing the exact same ailment, you'll possess ample resistance to recover with ease. If the lifeline on your left hand doesn't look particularly promising, don't worry, take a look at your right hand. If the right hand looks decent, it means you can alter your destiny through environmental adjustments later in life, effectively replenishing and revitalizing your life force. Furthermore, some individuals have an extra line, or even two, running parallel along the inner side of their lifeline. These auxiliary lifelines don't even need to originate from the same starting point. In principle, the more lifelines you have, the better. It signifies that your life's journey will be blessed with powerful support. This is also known as the ancestral line or the benefactor line. It implies inheriting wealth, blessings, or protection from ancestors, or an innate luck in receiving timely aid from influential mentors. Some people also have branches splitting off from their lifeline. This branching is actually a phenomenally positive sign, famously known as the travel line. Those blessed with this line are highly likely to venture far from their hometown to build a life. Yet, because of their tenacious and vibrant vitality, they can thrive beautifully wherever they plant their roots. Distance from home poses no obstacle at all. Looked at from another perspective, it suggests a natural tendency to maintain more than one home. Living between two different places fluidly translates into having two separate domains to live, reside, or build a family in. Next is the effort line, or the destiny uplift line. When straight, upward-pointing lines emerge from the lifeline, they are called destiny uplift lines. They herald a major, positive breakthrough in that specific year. Examples include purchasing a car or property, mastering a critical skill, or landing a major promotion. Here is a vital reminder for everyone. Do not just look at your left hand. You must cross-reference it with your right hand simultaneously. If your innate, inherited destiny doesn't look ideal, it is best to examine the other hand. That is the destiny shaped entirely by your own acquired efforts. Secondly, let us examine the heart line, traditionally known as the heaven line. The length of the heart line is absolutely paramount. Individuals with a short heart line tend to have weaker emotional regulation. They swing wildly between extreme joy and sorrow, and are easily driven by impulse. Generally, a standard heart line reaches the space below the middle finger. Anything extending past this point is considered long, while anything falling short is considered short. Those with short lines are highly prone to intense emotional roller coasters, acting on impulse and losing their temper quite easily. Conversely, those with a long heart line enjoy far greater emotional stability. Additionally, the curvature of the heart line plays a crucial role. If the curve is dramatic and pronounced, it reveals a person who is deeply sentimental and ruled by emotion. A gentler, flatter line, however, belongs to someone far less likely to let emotions cloud their judgment. On the flip side, you need to be careful around those with long heart lines. While their emotions appear stable on the surface, They tend to bury their grievances deep within their hearts. It's best not to cross or offend this type of person. They hold grudges. And when the right moment comes, they will settle all old and new scores at once. If the tail end of your heart line curves downward, it indicates that you are fiercely independent. And romance doesn't hold an all-consuming importance in your life. Furthermore, if your heart line splits into 3 distinct branches at the very end, resembling a distinct trident, this prestigious mark is known as the phoenix tail pattern. As the old proverb wisely dictates, hold the phoenix tail in your palm, and a life of leisure and luxury will follow. It promises a remarkably serene existence balanced with effortless wealth, while organically radiating good fortune to everyone in your orbit. Now, the heart line is arguably the most practical and telling marker in all of palmistry. It offers an incredibly intuitive shortcut to decoding a person's true inner character. Typically, truly understanding someone demands months or years of close interaction. Yet, a quick glance at their heart line instantly gives you the grand summary of who they are. For instance, if you're a salesperson trying to pitch a product to a fresh prospect, find a clever excuse to look at their heart line. If their heart line is noticeably short, it proves they are driven by impulse, making them highly susceptible to spur-of-the-moment purchases. You should strike while the iron is hot and close the deal swiftly. Conversely, if their heart line stretches long, you better tone down the aggression. These individuals rarely succumb to impulse buys. They require ample breathing room to deliberate. Pushing them too hard will only trigger their defense mechanisms, yielding the exact opposite of your desired result. This very line is an exceptional cheat code for dating, too. Those with short heart lines fall hard and fast, think love at first sight, and whirlwind marriages. Those with longer lines, however, overanalyze everything. They are classic slow burners who guard their emotions fiercely. But once they commit, their loyalty is unshakable for the long haul. Moreover, when scouting for a romantic partner, your best bet is to find a heart line that mirrors your own. This ensures your emotional frequencies are perfectly attuned. Yes, beautifully attuned. Slow burners belong with fellow long-lined deliberators, while spontaneous spirits thrive with short-lined passionates. This simple alignment minimizes friction, making the relationship beautifully effortless. Next, let us turn our attention to the wisdom line, traditionally dubbed the human line. It charts how a person processes thoughts and maps out their unique cognitive wiring. Let's be clear, it has absolutely zero correlation with raw IQ. A longer line does not equate to a superior intellect. Rather, the length of the wisdom line merely measures the duration a person spends processing information before acting. If the wisdom line is short, meaning it falls short of the gap between the middle and ring fingers, this individual relies heavily on pure intuition. They are decisively bold, often leaping without worrying about the landing. If it stretches long, passing the gap between the ring and pinky fingers, it signals a master of deep deliberation. They are remarkably grounded, yet chronically prone to analysis paralysis, overthinking every angle, and drowning in indecision. Crucially, neither a long nor a short wisdom line is inherently superior. They are simply different expressions of personality. You can leverage this line as a roadmap for how to seamlessly interact with anyone. If you notice their line is brief, you are dealing with a decisive personality. Their processing window is tightly condensed. Such people crave the bottom line instantly. They couldn't care less about the scenic route or the messy details. Skip the long-winded monologues and give them the raw conclusion up front. Or simply tell them exactly what needs to be done. If their line is extensively long, however, you must articulate every nuance clearly. Dropping a naked conclusion will only leave them bewildered, as they hunger for the context, the cause, and the effect. When faced with a challenge, they will dissect it to its very roots. Furthermore, the curvature of this line holds immense significance. A remarkably straight line points to a fiercely rational mind. Someone who worships logic, data, and cold reality, allowing intellect to master their actions. If the line curves gracefully, it reveals a highly emotional, intuitive thinker. They aren't particularly bound by rigid logic or cold facts. They prioritize personal experience and gut feelings. Should the line dip into a dramatic curve, you are looking at a true artistic soul. Their processing is intensely idealized, often overflowing with wild, untamed imagination. Naturally, some individuals boast 2 or more wisdom lines, which highlights a multifaceted, versatile genius. If the starting points of the lifeline and the wisdom line do not merge, but sit completely detached, it unmasks a fiercely independent, rebellious spirit. They bow to absolutely no one under heaven or earth. They are daring trailblazers, fearless executors, and highly likely to carve out monumental success. Conversely, if the 2 lines run closely parallel, or they might even fuse together completely, this reveals a person who is exceptionally reasonable and understanding. Someone who fiercely prioritizes the big picture and the greater good. In a corporate structure, they navigate office politics effortlessly, thriving in any environment. However, if they venture into running a business of their own, they might find themselves trapped in hesitation, overly cautious and timid. Moving forward, let's dive into an exceptionally crucial line. One that might hold even greater weight than the 3 major lines we just discussed. It is famously known as the fate line, often called the career line, or traditionally referred to as the jade pillar mark. It is a straight line that emerges from the base of the palm and cuts vertically upward toward the fingers. Because this line isn't present on everyone's hand, and even when it is, it rarely cuts straight through from top to bottom. It often breaks off right in the middle, leaving only the top half or the bottom half visible. For some, it appears as a series of fragmented dashes. Consequently, it doesn't rank among the 3 primary palm lines. If your line cuts through seamlessly from base to finger, remaining continuous, deep, and clear, it predicts a remarkably stable and enduring career path. You are highly likely to be a teacher, a civil servant, a dedicated researcher, or an agriculturalist. The type of person who stays loyal to a single vocation for a lifetime. If you lack this line entirely, there is absolutely no need to panic. It doesn't imply that you are destined for career failure. Rather, it means you aren't designed for a leadership-driven life. Yours is a supportive, auxiliary path. In other words, you might not be the central protagonist of your own life's script. Instead of chasing individual spotlight and personal glory, you find deep fulfillment in lifting others up, or pouring your efforts into collective success. Within a team dynamic, you have no desire to be the anchor or the sole decision-maker. Nor do you want the mental exhaustion of bearing excessive responsibility. You prefer to let the leader call the shots, while you step in to flawlessly execute the plan on the ground. When reading the timeline of this line, the base of the palm represents your formative, early years, stretching up toward the fingers to symbolize your later years. Moving from the wrist upward to the fingers, it maps the trajectory of your destiny from inception to the very end. Thus, possessing only the lower half indicates that fortune favors your early youth. Individuals with this mark should push themselves harder during their school years to maximize their potential. Conversely, having only the upper half marks you as a classic late bloomer, where life's grandest opportunities await in the second half of your journey. If you only have the upper or lower segment, it doesn't mean your career will collapse in the missing phase. It simply suggests that during the period where the line fades, the grand narrative of fate will not revolve around you. During those years, your role will be to empower and support others. A rare few individuals even boast dual fate lines. This heralds a life blessed with 2 distinct career paths and revenue streams, literally earning 2 separate incomes. If the secondary line is notably shorter, it is classified as a supporting line. This indicates that during the specific period corresponding to that line, you will take on side hustles or freelancing to double your income streams. If your fate line is fragmented and broken, it signals that at a specific crossroad in life, you will abruptly pivot your profession and completely reshape your career path. If the career line appears as a faint, blurry shadow that continuously cuts out, it demonstrates that career ambition isn't a driving force for this person. Furthermore, they likely harbor a deep-seated urge to escape every job they hold, refusing to let a mere career definition consume the entirety of their existence. Consequently, they spend their life either hopping frequently from job to job, or feeling deeply stuck and struggling within a single role. People with this texture simply do not place career at the center of their universe, making them highly prone to feeling lost or aimless in life. When this happens, you should look closely at your dominant hand. There might just be a hidden silver lining waiting for you. If your dominant hand tells a better story, it proves that you can leverage your own grit and conscious effort to completely turn your circumstances around. Take the legendary Japanese leader Toyotomi Hideyoshi, for example. Born into absolute poverty as a servant, lore has it that his palms were completely devoid of a career line. During a brutal battle, he caught a bare blade with his naked hands. The resulting scar etched a deep, straight line right where a career line should be. From that moment on, his path cleared spectacularly, and he ultimately rose to become the supreme ruler of Japan. Of course, you can take this tale with a grain of salt, it's just a classic piece of folklore. Now, closely tied to the fate line, there exists another profoundly unique mark. The mysterious cross on the palm. Nestled right between your wisdom line and heart line, there sits a lone horizontal bar that intersects with the fate line, forming a distinct cross. Even if you lack a defined fate line, discovering a neat little independent cross in that exact space between the wisdom and heart lines carries the identical weight. Ideally, the intersection angle of these two lines should sit right around a clean 90 degrees. If the angle skews too dramatically, it ceases to qualify as a true mysterious cross. Why is it hailed as the mysterious cross? Because individuals graced with this specific mark are said to be shielded by a profound, unseen mystical force. Notably, when crises or disasters strike, they possess a miraculous knack for survival. Furthermore, those who carry this line will find the law of attraction works with uncanny potency for them. What they manifest in their minds frequently materializes in reality. People with this marking boast razor-sharp intuition and naturally share a deep spiritual affinity with esoteric arts, Buddhism, or Taoism. They find themselves effortlessly drawing closer to spiritual individuals and sacred matters. Now that we've mapped out the foundational pathways, let's dive into some truly exceptional, rare palm markings. We'll start with the ones that appear a bit more frequently. If I happen to miss any unique signs, feel free to sound off and swap notes in the comments below. First up is the lucky star. Take a close look at your own hand. Right beneath the bases of your four fingers, you might spot a star pattern woven from 3 or more intersecting lines. This celestial emblem is known as the lucky star. To be authentic, it must consist of at least 3 intersecting lines. And ideally, they should crisscross perfectly at a single focal point. This specific pattern is dynamic, it shifts over time, and isn't necessarily a permanent fixture on your skin. Naturally, it's a massive blessing if it remains permanent. But if you lack it now, it might just manifest out of nowhere one day. So, keep a watchful eye on your changing palms. Particularly when this star graces your hand. Strike while the iron is hot and take aligned action in that area to amplify the influx of good fortune. Depending on which finger the star claims as its home, its prophetic meaning shifts entirely. Should this star manifest directly beneath your ring finger, it heralds a spectacular stroke of windfall luck, suggesting a very real shot at hitting the lottery jackpot. If it graces the mount beneath your index finger, it indicates you are naturally destined for leadership roles and will ascend the corporate ladder with remarkable speed. When it positions itself right under the middle finger, it means fame and public recognition are coming your way, or that your romantic and marital fortunes are beautifully blessed. If it settles directly beneath the pinky finger, it guarantees your professional endeavors and academic pursuits will yield stellar triumphs. The absolute undisputed royalty of palmistry is known as the trident line, or the emperor line, a true 1 in a million configuration. Legend has it that anyone possessing the emperor line is destined for astronomical wealth. Look closely at your palm. Aside from the central fate line, there will be a distinct line rising beneath the ring finger, alongside another line ascending beneath the pinky finger. Both of these auxiliary branches merge seamlessly with the main fate line, blooming into a shape reminiscent of a trident, or a majestic claw reaching upward. This geometric pattern acts as a literal money tree. The line climbing toward the ring finger is the line of success, while the one heading toward the pinky is the line of wealth. Typically, the standard length for both the success and wealth lines rarely breaches the boundary of the heart line. However, if yours boldly cuts straight through the heart line to lock directly onto the fate line itself, you possess an extraordinarily long and potent variant. The sheer extension of these two auxiliary lines directly dictates the magnitude of your financial fortune. Your fate line calculates your capacity to attract raw wealth. Whereas the wealth line gauges your discipline to retain and guard that fortune. The Emperor line is an exceedingly rare phenomenon. Individuals who command the Emperor line typically possess master-level command over interpersonal dynamics, paired with a hyper-acute radar for financial opportunities. Whenever they commit to an endeavor, they execute it with absolute, uncompromising intensity. They are fueled by an unbreakable spirit and monumental grit. Consequently, almost everyone with an Emperor line successfully blazes their own trail as an entrepreneur. Next is the Simian crease. The Simian line manifests when the wisdom line and heart line fuse completely into one, cutting clean across the entire palm in a singular, unbroken horizontal line. In traditional palmistry, this is crowned as the passed-through palm, or the through-cut hand. The Simian crease is a fiercely dominant and commanding hand formation. It is widely recognized that individuals with this mark possess intense individuality, overflowing self-assurance, razor-sharp nervous sensibilities, fierce independence, and an incredibly heavy focus on career dominance. Once they set their mind to a course, they will execute it to the absolute bitter end. Of course, this unyielding drive can occasionally project an aura of rigidity and stubbornness to outsiders, veering at times into absolute extremes. In ancient times, a simian crease was generally considered highly auspicious for men. It was seen as a perfect trait for commanding armies and waging war, giving rise to the popular saying that a simian crease holds military supreme power. However, such individuals often struggle to gauge the physical impact of their actions. If a few friends are casually fooling around or playfully wrestling, a person with a simian crease might strike far too hard without meaning to. This can easily lead friends to think the aggression was entirely real, thereby sparking unnecessary conflict. If you happen to possess a simian crease, you must remain hyper-aware of your own physical strength. Be sure to keep your touch incredibly light and gentle. Conversely, women with a simian crease tend to be fiercely independent and fiercely dominant, carrying a distinct aura of uncompromising stubbornness. Under ancient patriarchal mindsets, society viewed women with this particular palmistry as highly undesirable. Yet, once individuals with this crease commit to a career path, they will pursue it with relentless, unwavering perseverance, charging down that single road all the way to the end. Though the initial phases of their career can be fraught with hardships, and their ultimate success might arrive somewhat late, the moment they finally break through, the sheer wealth they generate tends to be monumental. Even after achieving considerable success, they refuse to rest on their laurels. Instead, they channel their momentum to strive harder, scale even greater heights, and push forward until they reach the absolute pinnacle. They are, without a doubt, natural-born powerhouses in the professional world. An even rarer select few boast a simian crease on both of their hands. Those with dual simian creases possess an intensely powerful subjective consciousness, making them far more decisive and resolute in their actions. When it comes to matters of romance or personal relationships, they operate strictly in black and white, either fiercely loving or intensely detached. According to statistical data, merely 1% to 3% of the global population carries a simian crease. Do you know anyone around you who has this unique line? Forward this video to them, so you can explore your destinies together. Next, there is another exceptionally rare palm line, known as the intuition line. This line emerges beneath the pinky finger, right around the mount of the moon. For those blessed with this mark, it indicates that your raw intuition is remarkably acute. When testing your luck on matters of pure probability, leaning entirely into your gut feelings will yield brilliant results. Winning the lottery comes much easier to you, and your odds of hitting a prize are noticeably higher than the average person's. While it doesn't guarantee a massive jackpot right away, you will likely enjoy a steady, continuous stream of smaller winnings. As for whether you can clinch the grand prize, that depends on whether a lucky star sits beneath your ring finger, paired with strong money and wealth lines. If you happen to possess the Emperor's pattern combined with an intuition line, you can essentially sit back and wait for the god of wealth to knock on your door. Moving on, the single most elusive palmistry sign is called the Star of Solomon. If a distinct five-pointed star manifests on your palm, regardless of its exact location, the critical factor is that the star must be sharp, crisp, and clearly defined. Individuals graced with this extraordinary hand feature are said to bear a destiny capable of altering the very course of history. or rising to become iconic figures etched permanently into historical lore. There is also a related mark known as the Ring of Solomon, frequently referred to as the Ring of Jupiter. Situated directly beneath the index finger, it appears as a distinct, semicircular crescent ring. Typically, it presents as a single encompassing line, though on rarer occasions, it can manifest as a double, or even a triple-layered ring. The greater the number of rings, the more potent and formidable your luck becomes. Those possessing the Ring of Solomon are generally bursting with innate drive, endowed with profound wisdom, and gifted with an extraordinary capacity to deeply empathize with others. Icons we all know intimately, like Michael Jackson and Albert Einstein, both famously bore the Ring of Solomon. A line that looks strikingly similar to the Ring of Solomon is called the 1,000 Pieces of Gold line. It is essentially an amplified, sweeping version of the Ring of Solomon. This is the ultimate mark of overnight, staggering wealth. If your current life feels incredibly rough, and you find yourself stuck at an absolute rock bottom, your fortune is bound to take a sudden, spectacular turn for the better. Absolutely everything you touch will succeed, as if guided by divine intervention. Furthermore, there is a palm mark deeply tied to spiritual realms, revered as the Buddha's eye. Located right on the first joint of the thumb, it forms a pattern that looks exactly like an open eye. Those blessed with the Buddha's eye enjoy the profound protection of higher spiritual entities, and some even possess a highly sensitive psychic constitution, allowing them to connect directly with the divine. Such individuals are exceptionally intuitive and spiritually attuned, while remaining profoundly warm-hearted, kind, and immensely empathetic. Also known as the Sage's Eye, it reflects a truly formidable capacity for learning and sharp, effortless comprehension, usually paired with an exceptionally brilliant memory. We've explored quite a collection of palm lines just now, some pointing to a seamless, thriving career, others hinting at hitting the lottery jackpot. Yet, it is crucial to understand that these merely represent possibilities. Now, why are they considered just potential outcomes, rather than absolute guarantees? Because authentic palmistry extends far beyond the mere geometry of the lines. It demands an evaluation of how crisp and clear those lines are, and whether they remain flawlessly unbroken. As a golden rule, the more defined and continuous a palm line appears, the more powerfully its corresponding destiny will manifest in your life. According to classical palmistry doctrine, destiny behaves like a fluid current, ceaselessly flowing through these energetic pathways. The sharper and deeper your palm lines, the less likely this current is to bleed into unintended directions, ensuring it strictly follows the intended path of the line. Conversely, if your palm is a chaotic web of shallow, messy lines, your energetic current becomes scattered, making your trajectory highly unpredictable. This is precisely why individuals with hyper-intricate palm networks tend to overthink. Their minds are chronically crowded with endless thoughts. Furthermore, true palmistry is never limited to reading the lines alone. The thickness, the suppleness, and even the subtle coloration of the entire hand must be taken into account. For instance, a thick, fleshy palm typically indicates a grand, generous personality. A remarkably soft palm, on the other hand, signals an exceptional affinity for wealth. When shaking hands with someone, a man whose palm feels as plush as cotton, or a woman whose hand feels lean, dry, and prominently bony to the touch, both represent the ultimate archetypes of immense wealth and luxury. Then, we have the skin tone of the hand itself. A vibrant, rosy complexion radiating a healthy luster is traditionally recognized as a sign of incredibly robust, resilient vitality. If your hands are graced with these auspicious signs, celebrate it. They will undoubtedly serve as powerful catalysts for your good fortune. That wraps up our journey into the world of palmistry for this episode. Thank you all so much for the likes, shares, and follows.